It's 2 a.m. on a cold Milwaukee morning. Firefighters race toward a building on North 29th Street, smoke pouring from the windows of an apartment on the north side of the city. To them, it looks routine, a fire, probably electrical, maybe a candle left burning. But the moment they step inside, everything changes. Because this wasn't an accident. Inside that apartment, lying among the smoke and ash, is 31-year-old Cashay Henderson. She has been shot twice in the head. The fire, it was set deliberately to hide what had already been done to her. Someone shot Cashay Henderson, watched her die, recorded her body on their phone, stole her belongings, poured chemicals over her, and then lit her apartment on fire. And then they walked away. This is the story of Cashay Henderson, a vibrant, funny, fiercely independent woman whose life was stolen from her in one of the most brutal ways imaginable. This is the story of the man who did it. And this is the story of how justice finally caught up with him. Before we talk about what happened, we need to talk about who Cashay Henderson was, because she was more than a victim. She was a whole person. Cashay was 31 years old. A black transgender woman originally from Chicago, she had made Milwaukee her home, and she made her presence known wherever she went. Her friends and family described her as funny, outspoken, bold, the kind of person who walked into a room and immediately owned it. Cashay will light up the room and Cashay will own the room, said one close friend. That wasn't just a compliment, that was a fact. She loved fashion, she loved music, she loved spending time with the people she cared about. She was active in Milwaukee's transgender community, participating in support organizations specifically for black transgender women, women who often face dangers that most people never have to think about. Cashay knew those dangers existed. She lived with them. And still she showed up, fearlessly, as herself. Her friend Nevi Kanuri said it simply after the trial. She was a woman, a beautiful woman, and her legacy will live on. Her sister Ada remembered her as someone full of dreams, someone whose life was still unfolding, someone who deserved more time. Cashay Henderson was not a headline, she was not a statistic. She was a daughter, a sister, a friend. And on February 26, 2023, someone took all of that away from her. Milwaukee's North Side, early morning hours, February 26, 2023. Milwaukee Fire Department units respond to reports of a fire at an apartment building near 29th and Villard. The call comes in during those dark, quiet hours before sunrise, the kind of hours when the city is still and most people are asleep. The firefighters arrive, contain the blaze, and enter the apartment. That's when they find her. Cashay Henderson is inside, unconscious, unresponsive. Milwaukee police are called immediately, and within moments, it becomes clear this is no accident. An autopsy reveals the truth in brutal, clinical detail. Cashay Henderson had been shot twice, both times in the head. Her wounds were fatal. She was dead before the fire was ever set. Investigators comb through the apartment. What they find paints a horrifying picture. A gasoline can, a gas can nozzle, an unfired 9mm cartridge lying on the floor. Cashay's Toyota, found parked quietly in the lot outside, untouched, like nothing had happened. Accelerant had been used to fuel the fire. The blaze was intentional. This wasn't a crime of opportunity. Someone planned this, or at the very least, someone planned the cover-up. Surveillance cameras in the area had captured something. Police began pulling footage. And buried in that footage, a lead. A person had been seen near Cashay's apartment around the time of the crime. Police began working to identify them. Meanwhile, the medical examiner confirmed what detectives already suspected. This was a homicide, the fire was arson. Two separate crimes, one victim, one night that changed everything. And somewhere out there, a killer who thought the fire would erase every trace of what they had done. They were wrong. His name is Cordell Howze, 33 years old. When detectives first identified him as a suspect, surveillance footage had placed him near Cashay's apartment on the night of the murder. Witness statements pointed to him, and once investigators started pulling on that thread, everything unraveled. Howze was arrested. Prosecutors charged him with 3 counts: first-degree intentional homicide, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and arson. He pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. But the evidence told a very different story. At trial, prosecutors revealed something that stopped the courtroom cold. On the day Cashay Henderson was murdered, Cordell Howze had searched his phone for, and I want you to let this sink in, Milwaukee transgender escort. That search happened the same day she died. But it gets worse. Howze had recorded video inside Cashay's apartment after she was already dead. The prosecution played that footage at trial. In it, Cashay's lifeless body is visible. And Howze, he's going through her belongings, taking her Rolex watch, taking her credit cards. There was also a video recorded by Howze in which he called Cashay the devil. Think about that for a moment. He shot her, he filmed her body, he robbed her, he called her the devil, and then he set her apartment on fire. When Howze took the stand in his own defense, he claimed he and Cashay were just friends. She was a good friend of mine, he said. It wasn't a sexual relationship. We had mutual respect. He also claimed he didn't know she was transgender. But prosecutors countered with his own phone, his own searches, his own videos. The defense argued there was no DNA evidence, no fingerprints linking him directly to the crime. What prosecutors had instead were 40 witnesses and more than 350 pieces of evidence, including location data, cell phone records, and video that placed Howze at the scene. The motive, prosecutors suggested, centered on Cashay's identity as a transgender woman, whether this began as a transaction, an encounter that turned violent, or something else entirely. What's clear is that Howze did not treat Cashay Henderson as a human being. He treated her as something to be disposed of. And then he tried to literally burn away the evidence. The trial began in 2024.
Milwaukee and the murder of a black transgender woman that is igniting demands for justice. 31-year-old Cashay Henderson was found shot to death when authorities responded to a building fire. A suspect has just been arrested and charged with first-degree reckless homicide. Now, Henderson's family and the LGBTQ community are balancing both grief and anger. And I want to welcome in Ada Henderson, the sister of Cashay Henderson. Ada, thank you for being here, and our sincere condolences for your loss. I just first of all want to get your reaction to the arrest, to the charges today.
Well, I'm glad that they found him and we got justice for our family.
I mean, I can only imagine the amount of anger and devastation after what happened. Have authorities told you anything about the suspect?
No.
No. Tell us a little bit about Cashay. Who was she as a person?
She was a very outgoing person. Cashay was fabulous. She had a big heart. She loved children. She liked to have fun. She was always happy. You know, and her life ended so soon.
Well, I know that Cashay is the 4th known transgender woman to be killed in Milwaukee just in the past year. None of those crimes have been designated as hate crimes yet. Is there a threat to people like Cashay in the city?
I mean, I guess I can't really speak on that because I don't know too much about that community. So I can't really speak on that. It's a sad thing that's happening to the people from that community. And, you know, I just hope everybody get justice.
And I know that the arrest has been made now. You think that you are getting justice. Are you confident that you'll be able to get a conviction here? What are authorities telling you?
I'm praying. Because I really don't know much. It was an ongoing investigation, so it's really, you know, a lot of details have not been released.
There has been a lot of heated discussion about people like your sister across America. What do you think that Americans should know about Cashay?
that Cashay was human. She was like everyone else. She was a loving person. And I don't see the difference in between the people from that community and the other people.
All right, Ada Henderson, thank you so much for your time.
And from the very first day, it was brutal. Cashay's closest friends, Akivia Green and Nevi Kanuri, sat through every single day of testimony. They watched as graphic evidence was displayed in court. They sat through crime scene photographs, through the videos, through testimony that described, in clinical detail, exactly what had been done to their friend. "It really broke my heart," Akivia said after the verdict. But here's what stands out, and this is where the case takes a significant turn. The prosecution didn't just have circumstantial evidence. They had Howze's own words, his own recordings. In closing arguments, prosecutors replayed the video of Howze calling Cashay the devil, recorded after her death, while he was still in her apartment. They replayed his phone search from that same morning. They walked the jury through his location data, showing exactly where he was and when. The defense, they challenged every piece, argued insufficient DNA, argued a lack of fingerprints, pointed to gaps. But the jury wasn't convinced. After hearing testimony from more than 40 witnesses and reviewing more than 350 pieces of evidence, they deliberated for 1 hour. 1 hour. On June 10th, 2024, the verdict came.
Milwaukee man will spend the rest of his life behind bars for shooting and killing a transgender woman. A judge late this afternoon sentenced Cordell Howze to life in prison without parole. A judge earlier this year found Howze guilty of killing 31-year-old Cashay Henderson in February of last year and then setting her body on fire near 29th and Villard.
This wasn't just an attack on her. It was an attack on everyone who believes in acceptance and kindness. We need justice, not just for our family, but for everyone who lives in fear because of who they are. We need to show that hate and violence is never okay.
I've been misguided in life, and I truly feel like I misguided others in life. There's no right or wrong answer to the way a life should be living or taken. I truly apologize to the community, to the courts, Cashay's family.
Henderson's sister said they hope this sentence brings attention and justice for all crimes against those in the
Back. We, the jury, find the defendant, Cordell M. Howze, guilty of first-degree intentional homicide. Guilty on all 3 counts. Howze showed no reaction as the verdict was read. November 25, 2024, Milwaukee County Courthouse. Cashay Henderson's sister Ada stood before the court and spoke about her sister, about a woman who was proud of who she was, about dreams that were cut short, about hatred that had no logic, no reason, no justification. "The way she was taken from us was unfair and driven by a lot of hatred," Ada said. "My sister was more than just a victim. She was a person with dreams. Her life was cut short because of someone's hatred." Judge David Swanson did not hold back. "There is just no logical or coherent reason for what you did to Ms. Henderson," he told Howze. Then he handed down the sentence. Life in prison without the possibility of parole. Cordell Howze will never walk free again. Henderson's murder was not an isolated tragedy. It followed the deaths of Brazil Johnson and Regina Mya Allen, 2 other members of Milwaukee's LGBTQ+ community who were also killed within a short period. Around 40 people gathered at a vigil and town hall for all 3 women, demanding change and calling for protection. Black transgender women in America face disproportionate rates of violence. Cashay Henderson's name is now part of that painful reality, and her story, the way it was investigated, prosecuted, and finally brought to justice, is a reminder of how much work remains. Because justice isn't just a verdict. It's a commitment to do better, for every Cashay Henderson who is still here and for the ones we've already lost. Cashay Henderson was 31 years old. She loved fashion, music, and the people she called family. She walked into every room like she owned it, because in every way that mattered, she did. She was a daughter, a sister, a friend, and a proud member of her community. She deserved a long, full life. We honor her by saying her name. Rest in power, Cashay. Cordell Howze maintained his innocence all the way through sentencing, even after being convicted by a jury in just 1 hour. Do you believe justice was fully served in this case? And what do you think needs to change to better protect Black transgender women in America? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. If this video moved you, please like, subscribe, and share Cashay's story. The more people know her name, the more her legacy lives on.